Hey people, it's Army here, and welcome to my first video with live commentary. And what we're gonna be discussing today is the best early farming spot I feel for Final Fantasy VII, and I feel this is a good game to start with for my first live commentary because it's probably my favourite game of all time. Now, this is one of my favourite areas for a few reasons early on in the game. You have a few different opportunities with different characters. So the first time that we get here, you can spend some time developing Cloud and Aeris. Now, obviously, Cloud being your main character, you want him as strong as possible, as early as possible. Also, later in the game, we do lose him from the team. So if we can get him a bit, further ahead than anyone else, then stops them overtaking us later in the game. And Aeris, we know here that we have a limited amount of time, and if you have one of the newer versions of the game and you want all the achievements, you need to get her ahead with the limit breaks, just so you can get her final limit break before we lose her. So in terms of this area, there's a few advantages. So, like I mentioned, when you've got Cloud and Aeris here, you've got full access to Aeris' house. So that's free healing, nearby save points. There's also cheap potions. The enemies in this area as well. So by this point you have an all materia, and you can pretty much one-shot the main enemy that we are going to be using to farm. When you come back here a second time, there is an opportunity to farm with Cloud alone. So when the plate falls, there's a scene where Cloud and Tifa will stay in the park, which is in this screen just above the one we're on now. And if you stay in this top area of the screen, you can farm with Cloud on his own. And then again, when you have Cloud, Barrett and Tifa together, then you can again farm with all those characters. Another good thing as well is, although you want to be OP in a way, you don't want to be too over leveled, I feel. So the main benefit of this is farming for your limit breaks, I find. Now, for those of you not 100% sure on how the limit breaks work, let's just pop into the menu to explain this. So with your limits, you can see that each level has 2 limit breaks. Now, you'll always start with the first one, so Cloud starts with Braver. In order to unlock Cross Slash, it's based on the amount of uses of Braver. And then to get to your limits level 2, it's based on the amount of enemy kills. So what I find is the most useful thing to do is when you are farming, when you're trying to get that first limit level, the second limit of each level, what you want to do is have cover materia equipped. Now what this will do is allow your character to be hit more often, meaning they're going to be using their limit a lot more often, and that helps you with that aspect. And then when you're trying to get to the next level, what you need to do then is get on an all materia, and again this is the advantage of this stage of the game is when you've got all and a spell equipped, so I'm using lightning, it will one-shot the enemies, so you're going to get through really fast in terms of getting your amount of kills up, and it shouldn't take you too long. You can see that my character is only level 16 at the moment, and on the previous screen I showed you, I've got both of the second limit breaks. So I'm just going to quickly do a little battle just to show you how this tactic works. Here we go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let the enemies hit us a little bit just to get our limit breaks going. So Cloud already has his second limit in limit level 2, so he doesn't really need to use his limit breaks as much, he just needs to focus on killing the enemies. And it's a good thing that when you have two characters at two different stages, because so Aeris is taking the damage and she's going to get her second limit on limit level 2 quicker, whereas Cloud, he can focus on finishing the enemies off, and then he'll actually get the kills to get him up to limit level 3. So let's just heal Aeris. We want to get off one of her uses at least, especially with these enemies, because they hit you so fast. Really boosts up your limit level. Let's give Cloud a little heal. He's got plenty of health though. And again, the advantage, so you've got these enemies which hit you quite often, and then you've got the house as the other enemy you'll face in this area, and it can do larger amounts of damage. And again, that's good for getting your limit level up. So we've got Breath of Earth off. Unfortunately, this does nothing for us at this stage. And then we'll use Blade Beam to take out these enemies. Okay, not quite strong enough to finish them off in one hit with that. So we'll wait for Cloud to come back around, and we'll use an all material. There we go, and that finishes the enemies off. And you just repeat this basically, and yeah, it's a fairly quick process for this stage of the game. Oh, and Cloud's got Meteor Rain, and you can see we're not even level 17. So we've got a really OP limit break. But you know, the level isn't ridiculous. I'll probably stay here and get him just to finish off to level 17 now, and then I'll move on. And what I'll do is, there's a few decent farming spots. There's one a bit further into the game, which I'll show you a bit later on. And then my favourite farming spot for the entire game, what I'll do is, when I'm a bit further into the game, I'll release another video just showing off that area, because it's a really great area in my opinion. It's the best one for levelling up your characters. And so let's just finish off by equipping Meteor Rain. So bye guys, see you again.